You guys on. Chris and Eric, welcome. Tell me a little bit about you and your business. And this is super cool, by the way. Like you two coming on, this is like fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, Chelsea. It's a pleasure being on here. And yeah, like you said, we're identical twins. As you can see, our eyebrows are taking up the entire computer screen for those that can see. But yeah, just a little bit of context about our story. Chris and I lost our father at 17 years old, and he passed away in a car accident. He was a correctional officer at San Quentin Prison. So we've dealt with a ton of adversity the last 13 years. And, I still remember like if it happened last night, and it was 3 days before Christmas. We got a knock on our door from a California Highway Patrol officer, and I saw my mom break down to her knees, screaming hysterically. And from then, when you're 17 years old, you're still a kid. You don't really know what's going on. And then 3 months after that, our grandma passed away due to cancer. So our mother was kind of like a train wreck. She turned to alcohol, antidepressant pills. I remember coming home from school and stuff. She would be passed out with alcohol bottles, just pills on the floor. So it was rough for Chris and I just to kind of, experience that, see our mother kind of just go downhill. So we kind of got into trouble ourselves too, just to, because we were so full of anger and we were lost. We didn't have that mentor, that guidance, that father figure anymore. So what kind of got us out of, that rut was just fitness, right? So, alleviating all the stress, all the anger on the weights. And, we found a mentor along the way by the name of Dr. Lane Norton. And we started working with him. We really loved his approach to training nutrition. And from there, he pretty much just changed our life. And then after that, Chris and I were like, look, there's two of us. There's a niche for this online coaching thing. So let's give it a shot. And ever since then, it's just kind of just taken off like a rocket ship. And we've just kind of just scaled our business, leveled up, just always helping people. It's always about, the client, not about us, and just delivering massive value. And here we are now. We're published authors, we're speakers, we're coaches, business coaches, and yeah, we're just still striving for the stars.
I love it. That's so great. That's so great, guys. Sounds like you got a lot going on. So you told me a little bit about your background. What is your business? And as I, mentioned in this summit, it's about making up your mindset, meaning like changing the way you think, whether that's bringing fitness and health into the mindset or just starting from ground zero where you are and going forward. Talk a little bit about that with me. How did you start your business, and how is it today?
Yeah, so our business, it's a training, nutrition, and lifestyle consulting business. And we really specialize a lot, within what you were just talking about, mindset, right? Because too many people, kind of look at fitness in a black and white scope and kind of like a vacuum where it's just all about training, nutrition. It's all about body composition, but there's so much more to it. You really have to make this into a lifestyle, make it suitable for your goals, your preferences, schedule, everything like that. And especially the mindset component, because it can be such a roller coaster, within your fitness journey, just like life. Life's a roller coaster. It's up and down, up and down. Fitness journey, it's never this smooth, like sailing type of a journey. It's always up and down as well, too. So you have to be, kind of what we call have a relentless mindset. You have to be really strong-minded to kind of push through those times where you're down and you don't get to your goal and stuff like that. So that's kind of what we emphasize in. And just to add to that too, like I always try to encourage my clients that, everybody wants to be, physically fit, right, on the exterior, but why not try to be both, physically fit and mentally fit? Why not have the six-pack on the outside and have the six-pack in your brain as well too? Instead of having a fixed mindset, acquire a growth mindset and grow in all aspects of life.
I love it. I love it. That's why I had you guys come on, because that's what I preach. And I think it's so important for people to realize that everything starts from, whether it's stress or depression. I mean, everything that they're doing in their life starts with the mind.
Yeah.
And, whether you think you can or you can't, that's all designed into your mind. So tell me a little bit about your program. What's an average day look like for you guys?
Besides Chris and I bickering at each other, besides Eric doing his brows. No, a typical day.
Do each other's eyebrows?
Oh, no way. We're not that skilled.
He plucks them every day. He's got to make sure they're sharp.
Pretty much so. Like a typical day for us is just, dealing with just, we have client inquiries. So we'll take care of those in the morning, and then we do our client updates. So all of our client updates are via Skype, video recordings. So everything's very hands-on, right? Even though it is online training. So we want to, our first thing is establish a really solid relationship with the client, because if you're not doing that as a practitioner, then why should they invest their money and trust into you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we do, is just really just go the extra mile, deliver customer service, and that's what we do on a day-to-day basis. Just check in with our clients, build them programs, routines, always trying to figure out different ways to add value to their life, build our business at the same time. So yeah, that's kind of a day-to-day basis. And we're always just constantly working on ourselves too, with just, self-education stuff, personal development stuff, and just lifestyle stuff too.
Great, great. So, we touched a little bit about the mind. What is, for example, like with my program, I do a lot of reprogramming the unconscious or subconscious mind. So
Mm-hmm.
what do you guys do? Give me a little example of what, or a taste of what that would look like.
Right. So can you give me like a little bit more detail about that, or an example?
Sure. So let's say I'm interested in becoming your client,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm interested in just changing my mindset, and maybe I'm not sure if I want to get back into shape, or I'm not really sure if I need to lose weight or gain weight. I really just feel unattractive and not as good as I could feel.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's a great question. So we always start with one of the most important questions we have, like in our questionnaire before we take on a client, is what is your why and your purpose, right? So just like anything else, like in your business or life, I think you need to understand what your why and your purpose is in your fitness journey as well. Because let's take, for an example, you want to sit there and do a dieting phase. Well, you need to sit there and be very, very clear on like, why do you want to do this dieting phase? Like, is a six pack gonna make you happy? Is that gonna carry over into your relationship? Is that going to increase your social life? Stuff like that, right? So you really need to understand like why you're doing this certain, specific phase within the dieting phase, or in your fitness journey. And you need to understand the purpose behind that, because once you get really clear behind the why and the purpose on this, everything becomes so clear. Goals become really tangible and attainable, right? A really easy exercise for the listeners on this is just get a piece of paper, split it down the middle. One side, put your why. On the right side, put your purpose. Start jotting down, just brainstorming. Why do you want to do this stuff? What is the purpose behind it? As soon as you know it, that paper will be filled up with a bunch of brainstormed ideas, and you can really get clear on like what the why and purpose is behind, your fitness journey.
Yeah, and I think just to add to that too, I agree with everything that Chris said on that. And I think just when people understand that this fitness journey is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So, once you understand that and just really just enjoy the ups and downs, with it, it's a roller coaster. There's highs and lows, just like anything else. And you have to really just sit there and love yourself on a day-to-day basis. I see too many people just not giving themselves enough self-love. They beat themselves up. There's coaches out there that shame and guilt their clients, which is just terrible. I think you should run the other direction once you just sense any of that. So, you really have to just sit there and just always pat yourself on the back and be like, look, I am enough. I'm doing the best I can. And ultimately reward yourself too, right? Small rewards are going to lead to just more adherence going forward.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I completely agree with you guys. And for those of you listening, if you're not sure what your why is, just start writing things or think about things that you love, so that way you can figure out why you're doing something or how you're going to get there. And so my next question for you guys is, tell me something, you mentioned a little bit about your personal story. What do you guys do, whether it's a mantra or something every single day? What do you do to get that mindset fresh, clear, excited, motivating? What do you guys do?
Ooh, that's a good question, Chelsea. One. I'm going to start because I'm the twin that's older by a minute. So I'll go first and I'll let Chris after that. I'm a huge proponent of a morning routine. So this is something that I advocate to my clients, to friends, family, everything. And it's just because as soon as you always want to spend that first 30 to 60 minutes to yourself. I call that me time, because you have to take care of yourself first before you go and serve anybody else. Right? So as soon as you wake up, you start checking your phone, checking emails, you're already controlled by that type of environment. As when you should be sitting there just, reading a book, listening to a podcast, just sitting there maybe meditating, enjoying a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, maybe going for a walk. There's so many different things you can do, but you have to really sit there and just program your subconscious for that day to be very productive and help other people. And that's why I'm just such a huge proponent of a morning routine. It's like one of my non-negotiables. Like I will sit there and always do some form of a morning routine no matter what.
Yeah, and just to add to that, there's this really good acronym for your listeners, and they can really take this away as a practical example. It's called SAVERS, right? SAVERS. The S stands for silence, so you can do anything as far as like silence, meditation. The A stands for affirmation, so you can do any type of like self-affirmations, positive reinforcement. V stands for visualization, so you can have like a vision board. You can kind of visualize your day within meditation. E stands for exercise, so you can go out on a walk. You can do like your normal exercise. R stands for reading, so you can listen to a podcast, audiobook. You can actually do reading. And then S is scribing, so like journaling, right? So any type of like journaling or writing or something like that. So yeah, anything you can do within that for the first 30 to 60 minutes of your morning, that's a solid morning routine.
That's great, you guys. I really like that because a lot of us I'm speaking for the general population, a lot of people don't know what to do, right? It's like, oh, I'm going to jump in a shower. It's going to be a cold shower, or I'm going to, read my newspaper. But like, this is perfect because 30 to 60 minutes, giving yourself some time. And I do something similar. I have my cup of coffee and I'm always like just relaxing for the first like 30 minutes of waking up, and it's changed my life.
Yep.
Right? Like I used to say, oh, I'm not a morning person. And then I started becoming a morning person because I changed my direction and my mindset. So
absolutely. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. It's all about developing those habits, right? It's hard at first, but once you keep going, it gets easier.
Yeah. And as important as it is a morning routine, everybody should think about a wind down routine. Yeah. Like, 30 to 60 minutes before you go to bed, you should do something to really kind of just disconnect from all the noise, shut your mind off. And that way you'll have a more, sufficient amount of sleep and just completely just rest, because, you can't sit there and just keep beating yourself to the ground every single day.
Absolutely. I completely agree. So my last question for you guys before we wrap up is, what is your favorite quote or a book that you recently read that has really helped you in mindset shifting?
Okay. Yeah. One of my favorite books in mindset shifting is the book called Relentless by Tim Grover. Yeah, awesome book. So I highly recommend that. My favorite quote, one of them is by Ben Franklin. So it goes like this. He says, most men die at the age of 25. We just don't bury them until they're 70. But I don't think that goes for just one gender. I think that goes for all genders. And that pretty much means that a lot of people are selling themselves short, in life. They sit there and just kind of settle at a young age, and then they don't really do anything, or they put their goals and their dreams, away somewhere, and they never ever fulfill them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And then for me, my quote would be, choose faith over fear, right? Whatever direction you go in, if you're having some sort of self-doubt, you're overthinking something, there's criticism, just always choose faith over fear. And most of the time that will shift your mindset to think more positively and, be more abundant and just more gratification and just be more grateful.
Absolutely right. Yeah. And the thing is, it's like we don't ever need to be as stressed as we think we do, right? There's always something. It's like, okay, this is solvable. So
yeah. we make the problems worse than they really are.
Yes.
A lot of the stuff we deal with is what's called micro problems, and a lot of people turn them into macro problems. Macro problems is like what's going on in the world right now. You know what I mean? All this crazy stuff with earthquakes and hurricanes, people, being diagnosed with a disease. That's macro problems, right? And the small micro problems we're dealing with are so small that we just turn them into these huge problems, and they shouldn't really be looked at like that.
Kind of like yin versus yang energy sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Well, I love it, guys. Thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom and sage advice. Would you tell me how we can get a hold of you?
Absolutely.
Go for it, Chris.
Okay, so you can reach us at dynamicduotraining.com, and that's pretty much where we have our social media, everything like that.
And we're also giving away a free webinar training at fitnesscoachingwebclass.com. If you guys want to attend that, it's for all fitness enthusiasts. We're giving away 3 secrets. We're giving away a copy of our free book via PDF. So check that on out. It's fitnesscoachingwebclass.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chris and Eric, for coming on. And I can't wait to see what you guys do next. Everyone listening, join us tomorrow for another Making Up Your Mindset.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thanks, Chelsea.